We're getting ready to do our feature relief here on the back side of the plate. So I've already laid out the ends of the cut. So we're going to relieve this area in here. We've got a cutter with a SNMG insert. Not sure how this is going to work, but let's give it a shot. Kind of a blunt insert for a lighter machine like this. Get some feed. Well, not too bad. We're going to try reversing the feed and feed out and see if that has any better results. Although it's not too bad what we're getting right now. Okay, I'm going to get a fresh edge on our cutter, and I think we'll do one more pass. A little bit of chatter right there at the end. Let me see if I can clean that up. I think we're going to do a feed out. One feed out pass and call it good. Okay, I like that. I think we're going to call that good. We'll hit it with a little emery cloth here. I like it, guys. Okay, I think the turning work is done. Time to head to the mill. Guys, I'm doing some anti-Bozo layout here. So, using our bolt holes, I've scribed a couple parallel lines across, and we're going to line those up with the x-axis on the mill table. And you can see we're going to have a 3/4 slot on this side and a 9/16 slot on this side. I was checking my lathe dogs, and those are the two sizes that will match up the best. And then for our hole pattern, it was very hard to find the center because, you know, hard to measure off anything round, but I did it multiple times, and I came up with a center line that's 90 degrees to our slot lines. And then I put the spindle on here, and using the hook end here, I went inside each bolt hole and just did and these are only for just sanity check. I'm not going to use these for the whole layout. So my plan is to use coordinate method. So I'm going to go put this on the mill table, get our x-axis parallel, and then we'll find the center, and then we're going to use the coordinate layout method for the hole pattern. Okay guys, the way I came up with the hole circle diameter is we did the reverse method where we measure the spacing between holes, and then you go to the Little Machine Shop website. They've got a hole circle diameter calculator if you know what your spacing is between holes. So I took multiple measurements, as you can see here, of each one, and averaged them out. Same thing with the diameter of the studs. Averaged everything out and came up with an average hole spacing. I plugged that into their calculation and came up with a circle diameter of 1.943, which works out to 49.352 millimeters. And I'm taking a little bit of a leap of faith here, thinking that the factory would have used a whole number. So I think it's 49 millimeters. So that's what we're using. And we do have some slop on these holes, so we have a little wiggle room if we're a hair off. So then I used their hole pattern layout, coordinate layout tool, and we plugged in the equivalent of 49 millimeters and got our coordinate layout, coordinate numbers. And this is going to be fun because I don't have a DRO, so I'm going to have to do this with dials. So, and I'm going to have to account for backlash and everything else. So, but I've been wanting to try this, so that's one of the other reasons for the anti-Bozo scratch marks on here. So if I misread one of the dials or something, at least I'll have an idea if I'm way off. So let me go set this up. I don't know if this is the right way to do this or not, but it's what we're going to do. So I got some scribe lines here that are laid out to the inside of these bolt holes. And I just put put bolts in or screws in, and then scribe the line across. And we just need to be close. You don't have to be exact. It's not going to hurt anything one way or the other. And there's a little bit of deviation on these bolt holes. They're not perfect and symmetrical, as we mentioned before. All right, we're going to call that good. So that's going to line us up for doing our 2 slots. Sorry about the glare here. There we go. But before we do those, we're going to do our hole pattern. So next thing we got to do is indicate the center. So we get on center. Okay, we're within 1/1000th, maybe even 1/2 centered. It's hard to do with one hand here and get around that glare. Okay, so we're centered up. We're using the Joe Pye tape trick. Help us remember where center is. We've already set our dials. We took out the backlash. So we're gonna set up for our hole pattern. Guys, I've been experimenting with using the dials, and you can also see I've set up a couple dial indicators. This one actually works pretty good because it's a 2-inch travel, but it's the only 2-inch travel one I have. That one back there is not working for several reasons. It's only a 1-inch travel, and we don't have a machine surface to set up on. I tried to set up over here, and I just don't have the flexibility to get it set up where you can still read it and have it stable and so forth. So that said, I did try a few times, and I'm just not getting the repeatability that I'm comfortable with. So I'm gonna throw in the towel and set up the rotary table, and we'll do this whole pattern with the rotary table. We'll finish all the machining on the rotary table. So okay, I got to get that thing set up. Okay, so we've been centering up our plate on the rotary table, and I think we're going to call this good. It's not easy to tap this around, but we're within about 1/1000th. This is a 1/2,000th indicator. There is a little rough spot right here. We'll have to look and see what that is. We got something on there, but we're going to call this good. We got a dial indicator set up for our Y axis. We got our dials zeroed. We've got our AntiBozo scribe marks where our hole patterns should come out roughly. And that's the radius that we're looking for. We gave up on trying the coordinate method, just too hard with just using dials and only one halfway decent dial indicator. So someday we're going to get a DRO, someday soon. All right, so let's crank over for our first hole. And we're going to use both the dials and the dial indicator. We're going to try the dial method first and see how it matches up. Okay, so there's 200. $400. 600. 700. 800. And now we need 900. And 65. 65 is right there. And we've got a match. Okay, and then I'm here. That looks really good, guys. Okay, we're going to go with that. We're going to lock our y-axis. Our table's already locked, and we've already taken the backlash out of the rotary table. Okay, well, nothing else to do but drill it. Go to back gears. Okay, 5/16, 18. Okay, one down. All right, now we need to go to 120 degrees. Right there. Okay, let me get you a still shot of that, and then we're going to have to line up so we can mill out our 2 slots. Off camera, I brought us back to 0. We're 0 on our dial, and it did match up, by the way, once I took the backlash out. And I've repositioned our dial indicator because I need a little more travel when we do the slots. So I'm gonna need to step over both directions. So that's why I need more travel. Okay, so now let me see if I can line up on our layout lines here. Okay, so I was sweeping back and forth with just this wiggler pointer, just following our layout lines for the slots. And when we were centering up this plate, we were just doing it by eye. And we got pretty good. We're only 1 degree off. and once again, it's just cosmetic. So, just trying to put a few details into it. We're gonna drill a 1/2 inch hole at each end of our slot locations. I've got a layout line at each end. Probably can't see it on camera. And the idea is when we get toward our final dimension that we're going to leave this outer rim, and we're going to leave the inner hub. We'll get into the chamfer a little bit, but that's okay. And originally I was going to make one of these slots open all the way out, but I've tried all my lathe dogs, and so far it doesn't look like I need to do that. And we can always come back later and do that if that's necessary. So, all right, let's get rolling. Once we run the right direction. Okay, I'll bring you guys back, get the other 2 drilled, and we've also got to put in a couple more 1/4-20s for our set screw blocks. We're going to finish these slots before we drill and tap those other 4 holes that we need. So we got a nice sharp 1/2 inch end mill center cutting, and we're gonna probably do some plunge cutting. We'll try that, and then we'll go back and forth and clean it up, and then step over to make that a 3/4 slot. So let's go. Let's move over a little bit. See if we can take about 2/3 of the hole. Let's slow our spindle down a little bit. We're at 660 RPM. take the center of this one out. Complaining a little bit. Okay, our step over, this is the 3/4 side. So our step over is going to be 125 thousandths. Okay, we're set up to do the other one. We're back on 0. And I actually set up a couple of hard stops for our X travel this time. Should make it go a little easier. All right, now for our step over. 32 thousandths. Okay, let me clean this up a little bit. Then we got to drill and tap the other quarter 20s. So I got a dowel pin in here that fits real close into our quarter 20 threaded hole. I've already lined up on it. And all we're going to do, we're just going to lock the x-axis and we're just going to step over 1.25 inches and drill and tap a quarter 20. We'll do that all 4 locations. And I don't know if I'm going to show this on camera or not, but that's what we're going to do. We'll show the first one. Okay, so we're centered on that. And we're going to lock our Y, not our X. Okay. And we're going to lock the X for a second so we can zero out our dials. And make sure we're going the right way. Okay. 200. 400, 600, 800, 1 inch, 2, 50. Looks about right. Lock, lock. Okay, I need to do that 3 more times. I'm going to, on each one of these, I'm going to relocate the center, because I don't know how precise these are, because they remember, these were matched up off of that faceplate. So, but I want to make sure that I got 1.25 inches between them. That way I can make all 4 set screw blocks the same. Okay, I'm going to do all that off camera, and when we come back, hopefully this thing will be done. Okay, we got all our holes in. So when I was getting to the last hole, I thought that we might have had a Mr. Bozo incident here. If you can see our scribe lines and the spacing of our holes, let me see if I get this other scribe line to show up. There it is. They're not centered with this slot, but over on the other side, it's pretty close. So when we laid out these slots, we based it on the center of our hole, which is what we want. So just to confirm that, I got a pin in here. That's we're back on center. And let me see if you guys can see this or not, but measuring to our pin. We got 187. Let's see if I can get this side. Got my hands crossed over here. .86.5 or so. Really hard to hold this. Okay, and then let's go to the other side. Let me crank it over. We're on the other side. All right, what do we got there? 276. If I can hold it steady. 276, 275. Really hard to hold this. Let's call it 275. Come around to this side. Down in there. 276, 275. So our slots are right. It's just when we transferred these holes from the faceplate, that faceplate is off. So, but everything is parallel, so that won't hurt a thing. Okay, I'm going to pull this off and clean it up, and we got some deburring to do. Probably do some Tom Lipton therapeutic filing. Okay, there's our dog plate. So I'm pretty happy the way it came out. I think it turned out pretty nice. Of course, this is the side that's going to face the dividing head. And this is the side that will face the work. And of course, you'll have a center coming through and then a dog in here. So we still have to make a couple blocks that will screw onto here and have our set screws, and we've got to make 3 studs for the attaching bolts. But I think we're going to go ahead and close this out as the end of part 3, and in the next part we will start our assembly. Okay, hey, thanks everybody for sticking with us. Almost forgot to show the spindle fit here. So it doesn't really matter which way it orientates. still got to make the studs, but I held the light in there, and it looks like our bolt pattern is going to be perfect. Let's see if I can flip this over. There we go. There's the other side. This spindle's got some minor pits here. They're below the surface. I might just shine those up with a little bit of crocus cloth. Okay, hey, once again, thanks everybody for following along. This will be the end of part 3.